Ever catch yourself just going through the motions, running on autopilot, doing the whole busy being busy routine? But deep down, you're kind of wondering why you're settling for a life that's just good enough. If you look around, most people spend their entire lives trapped inside this outdated version of themselves. They repeat the exact same routines and honestly entertain the exact same excuses. But what if I told you that total reinvention isn't just a pipe dream? It's actually something you can engineer. Okay, let's dive right into this. This is the core concept of our explainer, the deliberate, powerful shift from your default everyday programming to a fully intentional identity. We're calling this the 6-month reset. And listen, this isn't about burning your life to the ground and starting over. It's a comeback story. It's about taking the next half year to completely transform from a version of yourself that was built by accident into a version built entirely by design. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the massive contrast between these two versions of you. Think of you 1.0 as your unconscious programming. That's the identity you just sort of passively inherited from your environment, your fears, and, let's face it, society's expectations. But on the other side, that's you 2.0. This version is forged by absolute clarity and intentional design. By getting extremely specific about your North Star goals, you actually tap into the sheer biological power of neuroplasticity. You literally rewire your brain so those old fears lose their grip and the new you takes the wheel.
So, welcome to the Explainer. Today, our big overarching goal is to hand you a comprehensive, holistic blueprint to completely upgrade your life over the next half year. We are going to break down exactly how you can engineer your mind, your relationships, your wealth, and your physical body to boldly step into that 2.0 identity. Here is our roadmap for this total reinvention. First up, the 6-month reset itself. Then we'll explore the Japanese habit system, followed by a necessary audit of your inner circle thermostat. After that, we'll rewire your wealth mindset, and finally, we'll ground the whole process with the daily walking miracle. All right, part 1, the Japanese habit system, sneaking past the brain's defenses. If you've ever tried a dramatic life reset, like, say, vowing to wake up at 4 a.m. every single day and quitting sugar cold turkey, you already know they almost always fail. But why? Why does our willpower just vanish when we want to change the most? Well, the answer is literally hardwired into our neurological makeup. When you try to force a massive overnight transformation, you trigger what's called the amygdala threat response. See, your brain and your body crave familiar safety. So when you suddenly introduce this huge lifestyle change, your nervous system basically hits the panic button. It interprets the sudden shift as a literal danger, floods your system with the stress hormone cortisol, and basically forces you to self-sabotage just to get back to what feels safe and familiar. So, how on earth do we beat it? Well, think of your brain's threat response kind of like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. It reacts to sudden, massive movement. To win, you must make your lifestyle changes so incredibly small and so gradual that the T-Rex doesn't even notice them. You essentially have to quietly sneak past your own biological defenses. Just look at the stark difference between these two approaches, using brute force, guilt, and sheer willpower. That just triggers a massive stress loop. Your brain essentially crashes the car to stop the perceived threat of a new habit. But on the flip side, using alignment and a method known as Kaizen feels totally safe to your nervous system. It is incredibly sustainable, and it actually creates these amazing little hits of dopamine that keep you coming back for more. So what exactly is Kaizen? It's this incredible Japanese philosophy of constant, never-ending improvement. And honestly, this is the ultimate brain hack. Instead of a dramatic overhaul, you take tiny, incremental, almost laughably small steps forward. Because these steps are so minor, they completely bypass the amygdala's threat response. You literally sneak in the change, scoring these tiny dopamine wins that, over time, build an entirely new identity. But here's the thing, small steps still need a direction, right? And that brings us to Ikigai. Think of this as your deep emotional reason for getting better. It's your North Star. When the journey inevitably gets tough and uncomfortable, your Ikigai fires up the brain's prefrontal cortex, the part that handles future planning. It physically pulls you forward because the discomfort of growth suddenly has profound meaning. It's like building a better life for your kids, rather than just forcing yourself to work hard for the sake of it. So here is how you put it all together into a 3-step sustainable change system. First, identify the specific bad habit holding you back. Second, lock in that deep Ikigai purpose. And third, apply the absolutely smallest possible Kaizen move. A perfect example of this is the gym clothes strategy. If you don't want to work out, please don't force a grueling 60-minute session. Just commit to putting on your gym clothes. That's it. It totally bypasses mental resistance. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, once those clothes are on, you're going to go to the gym. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Moving right along to part 2, your inner circle thermostat, the law of association. We've talked a lot about internal habits, but your external environment actually dictates your success far more than internal discipline ever could. We've all probably heard the quote that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but the science backing this up is staggering. Humans are mimicking creatures. Habits, slang, financial mindsets, they're all an invisible contagion. Think of your mind as a fertile garden. The 5 people you hang out with the most, they're the architects planting seeds in that garden. Are they planting seeds of ambition, discipline, and vision? Or are they planting seeds of doubt, laziness, and excuses? So the crucial point here is that you've got to do a pretty brutal audit of your inner circle. We call this the 5-person inventory. Look at those 5 people you spend the most time with and objectively assess their income, their health, their mindset, their relationships, and their daily habits. Why? Because these people are literally setting your life's thermostat. You will very rarely rise above the expectations of your closest peers. If you want a different temperature in your life, you need to change the room. And honestly, that means making some really tough choices about who gets the front row seats in your life and who needs to be politely moved to the balcony. Distancing yourself from limiting friends isn't selfish. It is the ultimate act of responsibility to your own destiny. You cannot pull others up if you're drowning in the exact same mediocrity. You have to reassign influence to those who build your future, even if at first those influences are just virtual mentors from books and explainers like this one. All right, part 3, rewiring your wealth mindset, breaking the limiting beliefs. We absolutely have to talk about money. Specifically, attacking those internal subconscious money scripts that silently cap our income and keep us trapped in survival mode. Financial psychologists point out 4 massive limiting beliefs that are usually formed way back in childhood. The money avoider feels guilty about wealth and constantly self-sabotages. The money worshiper obsessively chases cash, sacrificing relationships because it just never feels like enough. The money status archetype ties their entire self-worth to their net worth, overspending just to look rich. And the money vigilant hoards cash with intense anxiety, never actually enjoying a dime of it. To break free your wealth ceiling, you've got to identify which of these subconscious programs is running your life right now and update it. Now, what's really fascinating about this concept is how it completely destroys what most of us are taught about success. Traditional milestones, they're often just financial traps. Listen, an asset puts money in your pocket. We're talking about high-income skills or rental properties. A liability takes money out. That fancy new car, it's a liability. Those designer goods, total liabilities. Even your primary residence is a liability because it continuously drains cash through taxes and upkeep without actually generating any income for you. You must rewire your brain to focus relentlessly on acquiring true assets. And that leads us right into the ultimate wealth catalyst, escaping the time trap. This requires a profound, fundamental shift in how you see the world. You need to calculate your true hourly rate right now. If your time is worth $100 an hour and you spend 2 hours doing a household chore just to save $50, guess what? You didn't save money, you just lost $150 in productivity. Leveraging other people's time by delegating low-value tasks, that is exactly how you scale your impact and your wealth. Finally, part 4, the daily walking miracle, grounding the transformation. Okay, so we've upgraded the mind, the environment, and the wallet. Now we've got to ground all of this intense transformation in the physical vitality of your body. You know, the ancient Greeks called walking man's best medicine, and modern science is totally backing them up. A simple daily walk is practically a holistic biological miracle. It physically grows the volume of your hippocampus, which protects against cognitive decline and Alzheimer's. It relieves ocular pressure to fight glaucoma. It wildly improves your glucose tolerance, giving your pancreas a much-needed break and preventing diabetes. It even regulates your digestive tract, which massively lowers the risk of colon cancer. It is, without a doubt, a comprehensive, full-body treatment. Let's move to the FIT formula and see how this builds into an actionable, incredibly low-impact routine that you can literally start today. Frequency. Aim for daily, or at the very least 3 to 5 times a week. Intensity. Use the talk test, meaning you should be moving briskly but still be able to hold a conversation. And time. Target just 30 minutes, or roughly 6,000 steps. It requires 0 recovery time, absolutely no expensive gear, and it consistently builds a resilient, vital body perfectly suited to house your new 2.0 identity. So, we've covered the habits, the inner circle, the wealth mindset, and the physical vitality required to engineer a totally unrecognizable version of yourself. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one piercing question, and it requires your absolute brutal honesty. If you could do anything at all, literally anything, without the fear of failure, what would your life look like in exactly 6 months? You have the blueprint now. The 2.0 version of you is waiting. It's time to start building.